So here's the deal. You want to build wealth, but you don't want to babysit stocks, track earnings calls, or pretend you understand what a PE ratio really means. You're not trying to beat the market. You just want to ride with it and win quietly. That's where index funds come in. They're not flashy. They don't make headlines, but they've made more everyday millionaires than most people realize. And today, we're going to talk about 3 of the best index funds that actually work. Long-term, low maintenance, and without the need to gamble your rent money. Let's break it down. All right, before we jump into the picks, let's clear one thing up. What even is an index fund? Because let's be honest, it sounds more complicated than it is. An index fund is basically a basket of stocks that mirrors a specific part of the market. Instead of picking individual companies and hoping you chose right, you just buy the whole group. So if one company tanks, you've got hundreds of others keeping things afloat. Think of it like this. You're not betting on one horse. You're betting on the entire race. And the best part? It's hands-off. You don't have to micromanage anything. You're not glued to charts or reading the latest headlines. Index funds just sit there, quietly working in the background. Boring? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. So now that we know what they are, let's get into the actual funds that are worth your attention in 2025. Let's start with a heavyweight VOO, aka the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. If you've ever heard someone say, just invest in the S&P 500 and chill, this is what they mean. VOO tracks the top 500 companies in the US. We're talking Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. Basically, the companies you already use every day without thinking about it. And here's the thing. This fund isn't trying to beat the market. It is the market. Over the long term, the S&P 500 has averaged around 10% returns per year. That's the kind of quiet, steady growth that turns consistent investing into 6 or even 7 figures over time. Plus, VOO's got a super low expense ratio, just 0.03%. Translation, you're not getting nickel and dimed with fees. VOO is like the reliable friend who shows up on time, never overpromises, and always brings snacks. It's not flashy, but it's built for the long haul. And it's one of the best places to park your money if you want exposure to the strongest companies in America. Next up, we've got SCHB, the Schwab US Broad Market ETF. If VOO is like investing in the varsity team of the stock market, SCHB says, why not draft everyone? It doesn't just track the top 500 companies. It gives you exposure to over 2,500 stocks across large, mid, and small cap companies. You're getting the giants like Apple and Microsoft, but also the up-and-comers, the companies that might not be household names yet, but could be tomorrow. This fund gives you diversification on steroids, and that can really help smooth out the ride over time. Because when small cap stocks pop off, SCHB catches that upside. And when they don't, your portfolio doesn't collapse because you've still got the big dogs holding it down. And of course, it's cheap. Schwab keeps the expense ratio low, so more of your gains stay in your pocket. If you want a fund that casts a wider net across the entire US market, SCHB is a strong, well-rounded option. Last but definitely not least, let's talk about FZROX, the Fidelity ZERO Total Market Index Fund. The name kind of gives it away. It tracks the entire US stock market, large cap, mid cap, small cap, all of it. But what really makes it stand out is this. It has 0 expense ratio, as in you pay nothing to own it. Yep, none. Fidelity basically said, you know what? Let's just remove the fees and break the internet. For beginner investors, this is a game changer. You can start building wealth without losing anything to management costs, which adds up a lot over time. And just like SCHB, you're getting exposure to thousands of companies, so the diversification is top tier. There's just one catch. FZROX is only available to Fidelity customers, so you'll need to open a Fidelity account to buy it. But if you're okay with that, this is one of the best low-cost long-term options out there, especially if you're just starting out. All right, so now you've got 3 solid options, but how do you actually pick? Here's the cheat sheet. If you want to go with the classic, proven route that mirrors the top performing companies in the US, go with VOO. It's simple. powerful, and time-tested. If you want broader exposure, including smaller companies with growth potential, then SCHB gives you that wider net across the entire market. And if you're just getting started and want to avoid fees entirely while still getting great diversification, FZROX is your best bet, assuming you're using Fidelity. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with any of these. Some people even split their investments between two or all three, just to cover more ground. The key is to pick one, start investing consistently, and stick with it. Because while the fund matters, what really builds wealth is time in the market, not trying to constantly optimize every little thing. Now this is where it gets real, because picking the right fund is important, but what really moves the needle is staying invested. Let's say you invest just $500 a month into one of these index funds. Nothing fancy, no timing the market, just steady automatic contributions. At an average 8% return in 30 years, that turns into over $680,000. That's not winning the lottery. That's math. That's compound interest doing its thing while you live your life. The mistake most people make, they start, then stop. Or they try to jump in and out of the market chasing trends. But long-term investing isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. So whether you go with VOO, SCHB, FZROX, or a mix of them, just start. Let the strategy work, let the market do what it does, and give yourself the one thing most people never do: enough time for the money to grow. And that's the play. Simple, consistent, and actually doable. You don't need a finance degree or $1 million to get started, just the right mindset and a few smart choices. If this helped you out, drop a like so the algorithm knows we're doing something right. Let me know in the comments which fund you're riding with, or if you're already investing in one of them. And of course, if you want more finance and personal growth content, hit that subscribe button. This is Nico from Finance Blueprint. See you in the next one.